Hello again. We're in Manfred, Brauch, Hard Sayings of Paul. A question that's very much in the air nowadays was the Apostle Paul anti-Semitic? And the accusation tends to wrap around a single text in 1 Thessalonians 2, 14 to 15. Although there's much in Paul, of course, that could be construed as anti-Semitic if you're so inclined to criticize him. But this text, the Jews displease God and are hostile to all men, 1 Thessalonians 2, 14, 15. Brauch says, throughout the history of Jewish-Christian relations, 1 Thessalonians 2, 14 to 15, and several other passages in the New Testament, like John 8:44, have been used all too frequently as a justification for inappropriate attitudes and actions towards Jewish people. Those actions and attitudes are called anti-Semitic. A dictionary definition of anti-Semitism includes such terms as prejudice against Jews, dislike or fear of Jews, discrimination against or persecution of Jews. Such anti-Semitism on the part of Christians has led to the charge that the New Testament, or at least certain writers of New Testament Gospels or epistles, were anti-Semitic. Can the use of 1 Thessalonians 2 and others for anti-Semitic attitudes and actions, or the charge that these texts are in themselves anti-Semitic, be justified? First, it should be noted that these so-called anti-Semitic statements come from persons who were themselves Semites. They were not uttered by Gentiles hostile to Jews or to Jewish customs or beliefs. Their Jewishness and their commitment to the sacred writings, which give to Judaism its uniqueness and identity, are affirmed. Thus, Jesus points to the Jewish scriptures as bearing witness to him, John 5:39. And throughout John's Gospel, Jesus' identity as Messiah, as the royal Son of God, is prominent. In the same vein, Paul repeatedly underlines his Jewishness, his belonging to the people who trace their ancestry to Abraham. Not only do we have an affirmation of Jewish identity, but that identity is expressed in powerfully positive ways. Throughout the gospel record, Jesus' love and compassion for his own people is amply demonstrated. A particularly tender expression of it is found in Jesus' lament over Jerusalem. How often have I longed to gather your children together, as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings. That's Luke 13, verse 34. Paul parallels this deep yearning for the wholeness and salvation of his own people when he expresses his deep sorrow over Israel's rejection of Christ and his willingness even to be cursed for their sake. And that's in Romans 9, verses 2 and 3. In addition, Paul sees the rejection of the Messiah by his own people as but a temporary reality. He knows that God has not rejected his own people, according to Romans 11, verse 7, and envisions a time when they will be grafted back into God's olive tree. In the context of this larger picture of the New Testament, we are now ready to look at our specific text. Paul's rather strong words are elicited by a situation in Thessalonica in which Christians, probably Gentile Christians, are suffering at the hands of their own countrymen. That's in chapter 2 of 1 Thessalonians, verse 14. The new faith, based on the gospel of Jesus Christ, is being opposed in Thessalonica, just as it was being opposed in the Judean churches by their countrymen, namely their fellow Jews. To this point in the text, Paul has not singled out any national group. The gospel is opposed by both Greeks and Jews, and those committed to it are liable to persecution. It is the following verse, that is 2:15, which singles out the Jews for special denunciation. They displease God and are hostile to all men. This statement has the same anti-Semitic flavor as the other rather slanderous remarks made against Jews in the ancient world. Tacitus says that they nurtured a hatred against all non-Jews, which one would normally reserve only for one's enemies. And the Egyptian Appian, a contemporary of Paul, is quoted by the Jewish historian Josephus as saying that the Jews swear by their Creator to show no goodwill toward the Gentiles. Though in external form, both Paul's and such Gentile statements against the Jews are similar. The specific context of Paul's words should caution us against viewing them as an indiscriminate anti-Jewish polemic. and using them as grounds for collective prejudice and discrimination. For just as the Gospel of John uses the term the Jews to designate the Pharisaic Sadducean leadership which opposed Jesus, rather than Judaism as a whole, so Paul has in mind those Jews who opposed his mission. Thus we see that Paul's denunciation of the Jews takes place within a specific historical context, and it should in no way be generalized. Only when such statements are used indiscriminately in the service of generalized prejudice, as they often have been in the past, can they be called anti-Semitic. I'll put a link into David Barron, who was himself a Jewish Christian, and the video was on the theme, Whom has history vindicated, David Barron or the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society? I'll put in a playlist too to a whole sequence of videos we did on the use of by the Watchtower of texts given to Israel, prophetic texts in the prophets particularly, given to Israel, which have been appropriated by the Watchtower. Paradise Lost playlist.